Hey Beers and Bros, this is Mike. Got a recommendation from our dear friend Hessler, who actually painted the flames on our boat, to go through the process of painting a lure. And I'll show you some of the details and some of the paint and techniques that I use in this video. So stand by. It ain't pretty, but it'll get done. Okay, so what we got here. I'm going to make one of my favorite lures. I call it the Anita, because some of the stuff I used to make this was from her scrapbooking kit. I'm going to start with a Super Duper 506, which is pretty much my favorite size for trolling on the lake. And we're going to use some basic equipment. Those scrapbooking scissors that your wife isn't using, these are great for, I'll show you what they're for later, but cutting up some fish scale. These are just little scrapbooking hole punch thingies. Figured just may as well use those. A couple of sticks here for dots, painter's tape, appliance epoxy, some gloss black, and other general glossy colors. It's going to take a long time, so I'm going to show you how I prep the lure for paint and hit the first layer of the appliance epoxy, and then we're going to let it sit for a week. Okay, as I said before, I like these 506s. I choose to use gold. I've had better luck with gold than silver. Quite frankly, if it's a really dark water, the bronze ones work even better. So we'll get going. I'm going to actually pull the hook set off because I don't need this getting in the way and hanging up on my fat fingers, and I'm going to change the hooks out anyway. So I like the Super Dupers because you can adjust them, and if you open them up, they will actually give you a different pattern in the water. And if you pinch it down, it'll give you something different. So you can get different action out of these. The only drawback, unlike the cripple lure, is because the face is open, they will tend to grab algae, and sometimes they'll get snagged up on the hook set and the line a little bit, but overall I'm pretty happy. You do want to keep the swivel that comes with these things though, because the swivel helps it with its action. But what I've found is if you just leave this swivel on and you put it directly on the line, you're going to end up with your line twisting around in knots. So I'll put this swivel generally on a normal swivel. So the first thing what I'm showing you now is I'm gonna scuff this up so I have a better surface for the paint to stick to. Pretty self-explanatory. I'm only doing one side because I'm only gonna do one side because I'm only gonna paint this side of the lure. I'm gonna leave the gold here and on the insides on this particular lure. So we're just gonna paint one side of it. And I'm just trying to get the clear coat that comes from the factory off of the lure. That's pretty good. Good enough for me. Okay, to get the paint on one side of this, I think what I'm going to do here is I'll just take the lure, flip it upside down. That's the side I want to keep, nice and shiny. And I'm going to go ahead and just tape it to a piece of paper here, or a kind of cardboard. That'll give me this side. Let's stick this thing out of here. And I'm gonna go ahead and just tape over the swivel and the other stuff that I don't want to paint. And that's pretty much it. All right, let's try again. So they say if you take the can when you're done painting and hold it upside down, apparently it'll clear out the tip, but I'm gonna call bullshit on that. It didn't do it last time, so grab something else. All right. Well, there you go. I'm going to say that's probably too effing thick, and it'll probably crack because it's a little cold out today, but I'm going to let that set for about a half hour, touch it again, we'll see what happens, and then we'll let it set for for about a week. All right. It turned out all right. It looks like, for the most part, that ought to hold, so I'm going to let this thing set for 7 days. That's what the can said for a full cure, and I like to get the full cure going so that when I do the next layer of paint, I can put tape and stuff on it without ripping the stuff off. There's probably better ways of doing it. Airbrush, all that good junk, but I don't have it. I don't care. This works for me, so we'll see you in 7 days. Yeah, one other thing. So I paint the whole lure white. I find that the colors adhere better and they actually stand out a lot more than just painting all of the various colors on the lure. I think when you see the end, especially with the fluorescent colors, they really jump off the lure when it's on when it has a white background. If it's just the metal in the background, they sort of bleed off and they don't have the same pop to them. Alright, beers and bros, we're back. It's been 7 days. Let the paint cure. Looks pretty good. Now I'm just masking off for the next item I'm going to do here. I'm going to go ahead and put some yellow on this. I'm using this new delicate surface tape. I think it's made by 3M. I usually use the blue tape, but we'll see. If this stuff does the job, I'll stick with it. It seems a little more forgiving on the new paint. So I'm going to put a couple coats of just this Krylar yellow stuff on, because that's part of the pattern I want. And then I'm going to let it set for a bit and we'll come back. This paint works as well as my other paint. It's all jankled up. Jesus. Well, seems to want to spray backwards. Good stuff. Pretty cold out, so hopefully this stuff will grab. I'm going to go ahead and let that sit for a little bit and then put on another coat and we'll see what happens. Okay, I realized I used the wrong color gold, so I'm going with this gloss yellow Amarillo, whatever, this old one. Sprays about as well as the last one that made a mess, but I think a little better. So I'm going a little bit darker. And all I can tell you is if you can't do better than me in this painting, you got a problem, because this, as you can tell, is kind of ridiculous. And quite frankly, sometimes if it comes out textured, I've got one lure that I painted cold. The lure was cold and it was hot out. I used a heat gun, gave me a nice crackle finish. The lure's been money, so don't worry about the texture of it. It's just a matter of getting the paint to stick, and then at the end of the day, making sure. I like to put a lot of clear coat on there to keep the paint from chipping off, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, I'm going to let that sit for probably about 2 days, and then we'll be back. Okay, beers and bros, we're back in our painting thing. I have a special guest star today. None other than the captain of the ship, Commander Skippy.
Fuck you.
Alright, fuck me. Back to the lure. So, it has been cured, as far as I can tell. And now I'm going to start putting those funky looking little scaly things on it. Alright. So go find Mama's magic little, whatever these things are, scrapbook and scissors. They're probably sitting in a closet somewhere taking up space. I like to put the tape on the on something with a backing that it'll peel off of, and then just cut a few of these little bad boys. And that's going to give me, as I peel them off, some templates that I can then stick onto the lure itself. I space them out top to bottom, so I get a little bit of a gap, and then when I spray that black paint on there, it'll give you the little scaly look.
Shiny, shiny.
Shiny, shiny. So I'm going to go ahead and peel these bad boys and get them in place. Alright, I thought I could get all of these little scaly things done at once, but I'm going to have to do them one row at a time. I want to try to get 3 rows out of it. That's kind of what it looks like before I put the paint on. It's all sealed up, and let me hit some paint, and then I'll peel it, and we'll go from there.
Should've what?
Alright, I should have showed you me painting. I mean, for once I had a paint can that didn't squirt shit all over the place, but this time it worked. So I'm going to let it dry a little bit, and then I'll hit it one more time, and then peel this tape and get the next one ready. Alright, there's the first set of scales. They're that delicate tape really let it bleed through a little bit more than I would have liked, but that's the first one. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the next couple rows of it, get those done, and then we'll be back. All right, we're going to this for the second scale band here. See how it goes.
Oh. Ooh.
That's as you can tell, Kurt gets really excited when I paint. So there you go. It's gonna let it cure up a little bit, and then put one more coat on that, and then we'll move on. All right, we're gonna try it again. I got it masked off. Hopefully the tape's on a little better. And I'm gonna put two very light coats of black on here and let it dry. That'll count as one. Flip it over and then I'll do the other one. So I think one of the big mistakes I made last time is I too fast, too cold, and too many thick layers of paint. So just enough to cover the yellow. And now I'm gonna let it sit for a bit and not monkey around with it. And probably about an hour, 2 hours, I'll pull that tape off and let it cure up, and then I'll go to the next set. But I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, I'm gonna try to take some of the tape off just to give you an idea. Hopefully it didn't bleed through this time. We'll call it the great reveal. Like I said, I got to get a little more patient with it. So it really doesn't matter if it's perfect, but I kind of have some OCD issues, so far so good, I think. That's what I'm talking about. That's freaking Yahtzee. I don't know if you can see that, but that's perfect. So that's one. I'm going to set up another one in the middle and one on the bottom. Happy. Okay. I got the lure pretty much painted the way I wanted. Took a long time, but we're back. Now I'm going to use this fluorescent red modeling paint. Goes really good on the white. Put some dots on that. I'll kind of show you how I do it when I get there, but I like to use these little coffee sticks to put the little dots on there. Hopefully I don't mess that up. And then I'm going to pull out my eyeball chart and find which particular eyeball I want to put on this thing. I suspect I'm going to go with one of these. So I'll just peel it off and stick it up there. Let me get to work. Wasn't so tough, was it? Love the eyeball. Unfortunately, this paint is a little bit old, so it's setting me up for another opportunity to fail here. So my advice on all the paint: get some fresh paint. Don't sit here and fight it like I've been doing. I'm gonna paint these dots and I'll be back. All right, could have been a little cleaner, but pretty much done. Now all I got to do is take this thing off, hang it, clear coat it pretty well. Then I'll get all the hooks and stuff back on it and show you the end game. But for the most part, what you see is what you get. That's Anita. See if we can't catch a fish on it and show you. Okay, she's all done. We got the hooks on. We got our little line twisting swivel in the front, and it's got a couple, probably 3 coats of clear coat on it. And you let the clear coat set up for, I like to let everything wait about a week to make sure it's fully cured before it hits the water, but next time we hit the water, I'm sure this one will catch something, and when it does, we'll show you. Take care. Hope you enjoyed this. If you enjoyed it, let me know. If not, I won't do it again. It takes a long time.